Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to our Monday video. Today being a topic video where we're going to talk about some of the upcoming in-game events. I've had some notes that some of you would like to get more of my feedback, or from your feedback, my thoughts on different things happening within the game. And so the roadmap seemed kind of significant to cover, as Wargaming is they're giving us the trajectory for the rest of the year here on this article, which they also did a video on, and you can check that out too, where Bogsy and Oskunts, something like that. I can't remember it. His name is a little different to pronounce. Akinsons? Something like that. Anyhow, so what's already done, I'm not going to cover that. You guys have all known what's happened, but what we're going to talk about is the spring, summer, and fall. So really two things for the spring is the French cruisers, and then the arms race in randoms and co-op battles. So in 11.4 kicks off the early access to the new French ships, these being tier 8, tier 9, and tier 10. And these are essentially, I believe, heavy cruisers, and they're armed with large caliber guns mounted on their bow. So there's all on the forward part of the structure of the ship on the bow. So there's none in the rear, if I remember correctly. So we'll have to see how these French cruisers end up looking like. Aesthetically, they kind of look ugly, in my opinion. But we're going to have to see high speeds with help of improved engine boost, consumable. And I also saw main battery reload booster, consumable. Good protection of their citadels against medium caliber AP shells, but they're quite vulnerable against HE and SAP shells. So let's see what that looks like. Arms race and random and co-op battles. I've actually tested this out on the public test server this past weekend. Arms race was first introduced into the game quite a long time ago as a separate test mode initially, and then as a format for several ranked battles seasons later. In update 10.10, it returned as a separate battle type featuring various changes and improvements. I really like this. It was quite fun and test out and play tier 10 ships. It received positive feedback from players and demonstrated good statistics. The next stage of the arms race development will be its introduction to random and co-op battles. So we're going to see these arms race happening inside of random and co-op battles, rather it being its own separate game battle mode. Basically, it's like you can get health buffs, more damage to your main you can cause with your main battery. Trying to remember some of the others. Reload time on your main battery guns, so on and so forth. Arms race will be available only in battles with the highest tier ship. Highest ship tier is tier 9 or 10, as well as in battles with super ships. So you're only going to see this at the high tiers. You won't see it tier 8 and lower. It will also be available only on these 8 maps. So they give you the maps with the addition of the new mode to random and co-op battles. Epicenter will be disabled. Interesting. We just talked about Epicenter on Friday or Saturday. No, I'll be talking about Epicenter on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so summer, we've got multiple things going on. We have Convoy, the return of Convoys. If you didn't get a chance to play this last time, I think it was in the fall we had Convoys. It's a lot of fun, really good time, especially with Massachusetts. Return of USS Black and website minigames. Return of Puerto Rico. This one's getting a lot of attention. I'm kind of ballsy of Wargaming to go back into this, and I can touch on why that is ballsy. Changes to the containers tab. Newbie combat missions. British battleships sea battle, and economy and exterior separation. I'm very concerned about this, if it's going to be good or not. British battleships. There's going to be a new branch of the British battleships, future warships that are historically classified as Battlecruisers. So maybe something similar to the German battleship, Battlecruiser line we have that goes up to Schlieffen. So tiers 3 through 6 will be historical ships. Ships higher, so tier 7 up, looks like they're going to be based on Royal Navy projects from the first half of the 20th century. Really interested to see this. I kind of wish that they had done this with the American battleship line, the new one that they introduced, because the fat and slow battleships doesn't really intrigue me very much. Like, talking about Kansas, Minnesota, Vermont. So that will be interesting to see. Game events, they have Sea Battle. We strive to delight you with new interesting activities. Sea Battle is one of them. It's inspired by a classic game that you're probably familiar with. You'll need a special resource, passes, to participate. Passes can be earned by completing combat missions. When playing Sea Battle, you'll be competing against the AI, so not against players. Destroying ships and winning battles will bring you rewards. These rewards can include special themed resources, for example, tokens for early access to ships or other in-game items. So they're kind of incentivizing you to play this new game battle mode. Before starting or during playing, you can press the finish battle automatically for the AI to finish the battle instead of you. That's interesting. So you can just let the AI take over. Okay. Battle results will be displayed on the screen and you'll receive any due rewards. You can pause the battle at any time and return to it later without losing your progress. That's also really interesting. New iteration of Convoy. Convoy was first introduced to the live server as a separate battle type in update 10.8. It received positive feedback from players, yes, because it really encouraged brawling rather than just long distance sniper action. So it was really good. We're happy to announce that we'll soon launch the second iteration of this battle type. Battles will utilize 12 versus 12, tier 8 through tier 10 ships. The maps and routes have been updated. Okay, you can expect 2 or even 3 convoy routes on the map with 1 or more destination points. This will increase gameplay variety for both the escorting and attacking teams, as well as other new tactics. Along with this, will decrease the number of ships in convoy, respectively, for each route, so as not to complicate the task for the attacking team to avoid performance issues in battle. We've also prepared various interface improvements, updates to tips, and other changes to help players take their bearings in the new battle type. Okay, so I really like this. I'm glad that they're adding some more routes. That'll be interesting to see. One thing I didn't like, and a few other people commented on, was the fact that on the mini-map, you could see, the attacking team could see the route that you as the defending team were taking. So then they could just go set up an ambush with the destroyer with a bunch of torpedoes. Looking at you, Shimakaze, something along those lines. So that was a real pain. So I don't know. I wonder if they're going to still have that on the mini-map for the attacking team to see. Return of Puerto Rico. This one is probably the biggest to-do-da, maybe out of all this. The Dockyard with the Atlantico won't be the last one this year. The next opportunity to build a ship will come at the end of the summer. So, what, July, August or something like that? This time we'll return to Pioneer at the Dockyard, Puerto Rico. So, if you're newer to the game, Puerto Rico is the first Dockyard ship, and it was an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, it was a dumpster fire. It brought so much bad publicity to wargaming. They made these insane types of grinds that you had 21 days, and you had to get ridiculous numbers of oh my gosh, I can't even remember all of it. It's getting these insane numbers of potential damage, like an American cruiser, a Japanese cruiser, was it 47 million potential damage or 4.7 million? Then you had to get millions of credits, and none of them had what was the name? Now Dockyard events, you can work on 2 or 3 combat missions at the same time. When they set up the Puerto Rico Dockyard event, you could only do 1 at a time. There was no, you couldn't blend them or work on one that covered multiple. It was a disaster. Several wargaming employees made it much worse, and it was terrible, very terrible. So we've taken all of our mistakes into, here we go. Puerto Rico was very complicated and not the most successful from the perspective of its design and mechanics. Yeah, no kidding. We've taken all of our mistakes into account and we worked the event design as of all subsequent iterations, starting with Odin, demonstrated the Dockyard in its current format has become a full-fledged part of our game and works well. Yeah, it was much better when they did Odin, really good. The grind for Puerto Rico was so insane, it became known as pay to Rico. It cost you $240 to buy the ship outright, just because it was almost impossible to get. My clan commander actually got the ship completely for free, which I think is insane. He had to play his heart out just to get it for free, and he did that just despite wargaming. But moving along swiftly. On top of that, many players have been asking when are we going to bring Puerto Rico back to the game. And that's why we've decided to put Puerto Rico back on the stocks, as we see it as an excellent opportunity to rectify our early mistakes with this future. So kind of ballsy of Wargaming doing this, but cool. It also means that you'll be building a tier 10 ship, which hasn't happened since the first Dockyard, same ship. Those who didn't manage to build a ship in the New Year update 0.8.11 or started playing the game later will now have a chance to do so. Obtaining a ship will be much easier than the first time. Better be a lot easier. But it won't be possible to finish the construction for free, same as with the previous ships at the Dockyard. So you'll probably have to pay a couple thousand doubloons or something, like a starter pack or something like that. What also is really cool of Wargaming here is those players who have already had the Puerto Rico in their ports, but still build her at the Dockyard will be provided with compensation. We plan to give such players opportunity to select a bundle with one of the following resources: doubloons, steel, coal, or research points. The amount of whichever resource is in the bundle will be enough to obtain any tier 10 ship currently available for purchase. So, I mean, does that mean you could get a tier 10 research bureau point ship? Because those ships are insanely hard to get. Insanely hard to get. To put it in perspective, you know, a lot of the free XP ships you could get, like Nelson, previously Friesland, and Alaska. I mean, you could have grinded all those ships with the amount of free XP you had to earn just for Puerto Rico alone, not all the other tasks. But if you're wondering is Puerto Rico a good ship, is this ship I should grind, I'll cover that in a specific Dockyard video. But to be obvious, you know, if you're playing high tier, you know, do you see Puerto Rico in random battles, in co-op battles? Yeah, not really. It's a battle cruiser with battleship dispersion. Has a very tanky armor scheme. It's hard to citadel, but it's not the best ship in the world. I mean, Alaska is definitely better than Puerto Rico. I would say just from the surface, when you look at stats, and you see a lot more Alaskas than you do Puerto Ricos, right? Also, the ship was just insanely hard to pick up. So I guess that also goes in there too. But the players I know multiple people with Puerto Rico, they hardly ever play this ship. Return of operations. This is a huge one, okay? As a result of the changes to aircraft carriers in update 0.0, many AI-related internal tools became outdated. Adjusting aircraft carriers controlled by AI became hard or even impossible. For this reason, some operations were temporarily removed from the game. We are currently actively working on aircraft carrier AI to bring some operations back, being Cherry Blossom, Hermes, and the Ultimate Frontier back to the game. Dynamo is not listed here. That was another fun operation. I think it's been a long time since we've had these. So it's been over 2.5 years since we've had these ops. So it's a very long time for Wargaming to be dragging their feet. I mean, they keep promising to bring these back, and it's taking them, I mean, forever to fulfill that promise. So, but it's good to see it back. Personal challenges. This has been in the game before. I'm not going to read that. I know this video will be super long. Return of USS Black and website minigames. A special event is planned for June, during which you'll be able to obtain USS Tier 9 Premium just to wear USS Black. Kind of the big gimmick about Black is that she has radar and she can smoke up. I think they ended up nerfing her before they're bringing her back because they're really concerned a lot of players getting their hands on Black. So you'll be able to earn various themed rewards. The event is going to be accompanied by a web campaign that will allow you to choose your own path through the Pacific theater of World War II in 1944 on a special map and build a career for your own commander. Okay, this is going to be interesting to see. As a reward for completing the campaign, you receive a US commander with 12 skill points. You can distribute some of the skill points by making choices right on the campaign map. Okay, there you go. Improvements, new map, the Faroe Islands. The visual style of the Faroe Islands was selected by players back in fall of 2021, and the map is currently in the final stage of its preparation. We plan to release it to the live server with update 11.5. So, if you're wondering, this was the article they had. Faroe Islands won. Iceland was really close. I think I actually voted for Faroe Islands. This is kind of their theme of inspiration for it. But they seemed like they really wanted to go for snow or ice because it was on every map option. So Faroe Islands, so it's great to see that we're finally getting a new map after a couple of years. Changes to the containers tab. The cargo ship future is currently very limited. Players can only see the total number of containers they possess. This is particularly inconvenient for those who store lots of containers. To address this issue, we're going to improve the system for storing containers on the cargo ship and make it more informative. Players will be able to view the numbers of each container type they have and open containers only of a specific type. Okay, this is really good. I like this. We're adding information about container names and descriptions, as well as an option to get information about the drop chances of container items. That's also really good. We initially planned to finish this feature in spring, but tweaking it and testing it with cargo ship requires more time. That's why the changes to the containers tab will be implemented in one of the summer updates. Yeah, it makes sense. Training missions for new players. This is also really good. Hats off to you, Wargaming. Helping new players master the key principles and mechanics is a very important part of the game development. For this purpose, we're adding a set of simple missions to World of Warships. These missions will gradually focus on different game mechanics. Excellent. This will help inexperienced players get their bearings in World of Warships, acquire basic skills through playing, and receive small rewards for this. Nice. Each mission will have its own set of tips that will enable players to better navigate in the game. This is another feature that we've postponed to summer because we needed more time to finalize the design of these missions. Okay, so they've had some delays here, but this is excellent because a lot of players even in a randoms battle, a co-op battle, you start the game off, you're playing tier 8, and what happens? You have your guy in, let's say, a premium radar cruiser tier 8. He pops his radar like 30 seconds into the game. Like, you're not even gonna see any enemy ships at tier 8 because the map's so large. Like, why did you pop your radar? Are there hydroacoustic search? A Ghost Crew first player pops it 10 seconds into the battle. So I hope they kind of get into that. That'd be helpful. Separation of exterior elements and economic bonuses. Oof, I'm nervous about this one, I'm not gonna lie. We're working on the separation of exterior elements and economic bonuses, as well as on updating the ladder. These changes will enable you to select economic bonuses and camouflages separately, and they will simplify the process of managing economic bonuses. We'll do our best to make the transition from the old system to the new one as comfortable as possible. I really hope that's true. Like, whenever Wargaming the last few years have done a rework, it's been miserable. As well as to conserve the current state of the game economics, prices, and earnings. English. Cumulatively, players won't lose in profitability and will earn even more in some situations. The longer I'm in Norway, learning Jeg snakker norsk, I speak Norwegian, or learning it, Jeg lærer norsk. It's coming harder because there's certain words in English that I just hardly ever say anymore. This is a word I probably haven't said in like 3-4 years. So yeah, it's hard. So, well, I'm nervous. We'll see how Wargaming does this. The dev blog they had on this with a Excel spreadsheet calculator so you could test it out was busted. It was wrong. Wargaming defended it, but it was clearly wrong. So I am nervous about this when Wargaming starts messing with the economics of the game. So I'm not going to hold my breath, or I am going to hold my breath. How does that saying even going? But I'm nervous. I'm not sure if Wargaming is going to do well with this or not. In theory, it's supposed to be better, but in practicality, if Wargaming actually implements it well, it's a whole other story. Changes to the battle camera. The quality of textures and effects is an essential part of the game, but the way players see World of Warships is no less important. Not long ago, we announced a new stage of testing battle camera settings. Its results were positive, some minor tweaks are still required, and after that, we'll implement these changes on the live server. So, let's see. Camera improvements. Closed test. So this was the dev blog. This was back beginning of March. They're talking about a configurable field of view option, which would allow for an increased viewing angle and adjustment to height and distance of the camera relative to the player's ship. The camera position when using binoculars remains unchanged in both cases. So, cool. So you'll see how that one goes. Independence Day update of U.S. destroyer models. In summer, we traditionally celebrate U.S. Independence Day. You can expect to see loads of themed content. Updating the models of U.S. destroyers will also be dedicated to this holiday. This work will span 2 updates. First, we'll update the models of the researchable Tier 7 through Tier 10 destroyers. Second, we'll turn to the models of the researchable Tier 2 through Tier 6 destroyers and Sims, Tier 7 premium destroyer, which we started working on concurrently with the researchable ships. Okay, then we have fall. So we have the anniversary, introduction of Japanese light cruisers, battle performance bonuses, Halloween events, and a new map. All right, so Japanese light cruisers. By fall, we'll have added Japanese Tier 5 through Tier 10 light cruisers for testing. Their concept is in development, but we can already safely say that all the ships of the branch will have 610mm torpedoes at their disposal, and their torpedoes will have wide aiming angles. As for their main batteries, the Tier 5 and 6 ships will have the 152mm guns, and the Tier 7 ship will have 155mm guns, and the high tier, so 8 through 10, will carry 150mm dual-purpose guns. So this means not only surface ships, but also they can fire at planes in the sky. Oh, that's right. The video that they have where Bogsy and Oskensens, I don't know how to pronounce his name, when he was talking about this dual-purpose guns, I think he said, what did he say? Goodbye planes. So they're hinting that the AA anti-aircraft guns on these light cruisers are supposed to be really, really good, like bye-bye planes. Wargaming doesn't know how to make a ship that is a no-fly zone. I mean, even if there was a ship that existed in the game where, let's say, the DPM of the main battery was really bad, but it had insane AA values, and I mean, no carrier could get one strike off, I would buy that ship. I think that's an excellent. It'd be really cool to see no-fly zones. There used to be no-fly zones, I think, back in the RTS days of the aircraft carrier, and I'm referencing before the aircraft carrier rework that took place in 8.0, I believe it was, where you had no-fly zones, but those haven't existed for a long time. Anniversary and improvements of battle performance bonuses. We're going to celebrate World of Warships anniversary. I think, is it 7? Yeah, 7. So players can expect loads of themed rewards and interesting activities. So this is actually pretty good because it's like snowflakes, where if you play a ship, let's say Tier 5 or higher, you'll get a certain reward for playing that ship and getting rewards. So the more ships you have, the better. The more higher tier ships you have, the greater rewards that you can get. Naturally, festive bonuses for battle performance will also be available. Many players who have extensive ports and getting rewards for battle performance on each ship can be very difficult and time consuming. To deal with this, we plan to rework the battle performance bonus system. Players with many ships in their ports will be able to receive rewards from several ships per battle. That's really good, because I know some players, like even myself, and I don't even have all the ships in the game. When you have over 300 ships and you have to not play basically 300 games, you just pretty much play co-op and grind out to knock all the snowflakes off, is how they say it. Takes a very long time, so I'd be interested to see what that looks like. Last 2 things, Halloween. For Halloween 2021, we brought back themed operations Saving Transylvania and Sunray in the Darkness. As the statistics showed, players were enthusiastic about the return. Nightmare operations appeared to be much more popular than the standard ones. This year we plan to add Saving Transylvania and Sunray in the Darkness as part of the Halloween activities again. Sweet. Besides that, we are considering the possibility to additionally bring back another once very popular themed operation, Terror of the Deep, featuring submarines. So this, when they had this operation, which was just before I started playing, I've heard nothing but good things about this operation, where you control submarines, fire torpedoes and all that. And apparently it was pretty straightforward and pretty simplistic. It worked well, from my understanding, because it was in its own separate game mode. It wasn't something that they forced into randoms, co-op, ranked, that kind of thing. But apparently it was really good. So I'm wondering if, because of how well this event went, Wargaming was like, maybe we should introduce submarines into World of Warships. We could make more money. But the joy of this, it's its own game battle mode, separate from Random's clan, because it was kind of like an operation mode, right? So we'll get to see that. Another new map in addition to Faroe Islands. Continuation of reworking maps in ports to bring them up to HD quality. We plan to start working on one more new map. It's currently at the preliminary design stage. We promise to disclose details later when we're ready. So, really good. So there's a lot of good things in here. Some things, you know, I'm questionable on, like, you know, bye-bye planes, goodbye planes. I'll believe it when I see it. This I'm really nervous about. Yeah, of all the things they've said for this year, I'm most nervous about this, and I mean, I'm even more nervous about submarines. Hopefully they do not botch this up again. I think when they were reintroducing Black, it was like the return of USS Missouri. That was also a dumpster fire last year. So many dumpster fires Wargaming, so you gotta stop it. So hopefully that this goes well, and this goes well. I do really hope the best for Wargaming. I just don't trust the decisions they make all the time. They've not showed that they're good at doing reworks at all. So yeah, I think that's gonna wrap this video up, and talking about a roadmap for World of Warships here for the rest of 2022. So hopefully, if you like me trying to do this type of video, let me know. I don't tend to do, you know, reading maybe like a dev blog or these news articles that Wargaming does. I only try to do what I think. This was a significant one. Some of you want to know my thoughts and opinions on things. So if you did like me covering this, please let me know in the comments. It helps give me feedback to know whether you found this interesting or not. So then I know, hey, something like this again, I should cover a video. Or if you hated it, then I just know not to touch it again. Let someone else on YouTube take care of it. So if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you have already subscribed, thanks so much. I really appreciate it, and we will catch you next time. Take care.